Good evening, friends. Tonight's episode is another one about mysterious and terrifying stories, strange, unexplainable tales. So, I am giving you a heads up. Everything I am about to tell you are stories shared by me and my friends. The friend providing today's story is named Bunny Eats Grass. I've wanted to tell you this story for a long time. It's something that happened to me when I was about 15 or 16. When I was young, I grew up in a small county in Hebei province. Bunny, he, and a few friends went together to a temple fair near their homes. It was basically like a market fair. But because of the temple fair, it was summer, so it only got lively after dark. In other words, you could consider it a big night market. At that time, the friends, 3 or 4 of them, arrived at the temple fair around 4 p.m. When they arrived, many vendors were already setting up. But as the sky gradually darkened, the temple fair reached its peak. There were vendors selling lamb skewers, selling snacks, selling clothes, selling toys, basically filling the entire street. So the kids were overwhelmed. Wow, everything looks so fun. Look, they're selling so many little earrings over there. They all stopped to watch. As they were watching, the group of 4 or 5 of them soon got separated. After they got separated, Bunny realized at first, hey, where is everyone? Where did they go? He immediately started looking around the temple fair. After looking around, he found one of his classmates at the very end of the food street. By a stall, he was standing there. He wasn't looking at the stall itself, but at an empty space to the left of the stall. He was just blankly staring there. Bunny thought, "What are you doing there?" He immediately walked over. As he walked, he called out to him, "Zhao Ming, hey Zhao Ming." But the kid was still in a daze and didn't respond. Then, as Bunny got close to his classmate, about 7 or 8 meters away, his classmate suddenly turned to the left. But even after turning left, he still wasn't facing Bunny. Instead, he was facing away from Bunny, with his back to him. Bunny was curious. He continued to walk slowly, looking in the direction his classmate turned. What is he looking at? He looked towards the darkness at the end of the path. A man was standing far away. The man was wearing a thick, ancient-style cotton-padded robe, and it was reflecting light. Suddenly, Bunny felt something was wrong. But at this point, Bunny had already reached behind his classmate, so he patted him on the shoulder. "Hey Zhao Ming, what are you doing?" Then Zhao Ming instantly reacted. "Hey, why did you come behind me? What were you watching us do? Hey you, oh my gosh, why are you switching places?" These words were spoken by Zhao Ming. Lu Mengtu's head went numb after hearing that. "What? I've been behind you. Who came behind you? What are you doing here?" Then this guy kept explaining to Lu Mengtu. He meant to say no. "I was just watching you guys by that tree earlier. I was curious what you were doing there. I was watching you from afar. But just now you hit me like this, and then you suddenly ran behind me." Then Lu Mengtu started to feel uneasy, because Lu Mengtu must have since childhood been in close contact with his grandparents, and they told him a lot about these strange events. Plus, what he saw earlier, that man dressed in ancient clothes, was really scary. So Lu Mengtu immediately told this guy, let's go, let's leave here. Let's go inside and find them. Let's go quickly. Let's go to the internet cafe. Let's not stay here. I have a bad feeling about this place tonight." Honestly, this guy was startled too. You were just standing there fine, watching your buddies ahead. Then suddenly you flashed behind me. anyone would feel uneasy, especially with Lumang 2 saying that. This guy just accepted it. Then he followed Lumang 2 back into the night market to look for his brother. They didn't look for long before they found him. They called his brother over from a distance and told his brother they'd wandered enough. Let's go quickly. But what about the rest of his brothers? They didn't want to leave and wanted to wander more. Lumang 2 got anxious. Let's go. Let's go. I have a bad feeling about tonight. Let's hurry to the internet cafe. Since Lumang 2 usually likes to talk about ghosts and spirits, when his friends heard him say something was wrong, they immediately asked him, "What makes you feel it's wrong?" Then Lumang 2 gave them a look with a strange expression. Since they were good buddies, they knew what he meant by that look. So the remaining friends understood and left the night market with Lumang 2. But after leaving the night market, it would take some time to get to the internet cafe, and they had to pass through a desolate road. Because after all, this was on the edge of town, so at first, they didn't feel anything. But as they walked further away from the night market, and the two of them became fewer and fewer, gradually, these young men started to get scared. One of them asked Lumang 2, 98. One of them asked Lumang 2, 98. What did you sense? 98. What did you sense? 3. Honestly, I feel it's creepy tonight too. Something felt wrong. But Rogue Rabbit, having finished listening, made a wrong decision. He recounted the scene that had just happened to him to his classmates. In other words, the man in ancient costume he had just seen, he described for a long time. So at this moment, the children were on a dark road. There wasn't anyone on this road. Imagine these children listening. How could they not be scared? So one of them, who was timid, kept urging them on. Stop talking. Let's go. We'll be at the internet cafe soon. Let's go. Let's go. Let's leave here. I feel like something's not right. After the child finished speaking, I need to describe for you what it was like at that time, the road they were on. The road wasn't very long. You could walk off it in 15 minutes, but it was a country road connecting to a small road in town. And on the left side of the road, when facing the road, on the left was a large dirt slope. You could think of it as a dirt hill. And on the right was a garbage dump. This garbage dump was not to be underestimated. Garbage had been dumped there for decades. The area was very dirty. But what was dumped there wasn't just household waste. It was all industrial waste, broken cars, scrap metal, and so on. And it was a wasteland. But everyone must understand why I need to describe this place well for you, because something is about to happen here. Just as Rogue Rabbit and the others were scared and wanted to leave quickly, on this road, the group of them simultaneously, vaguely heard, from the large pile of ruins on the right side, the sound of opera singing. And Rogue Rabbit specifically described it, saying, "Kai J, you don't know how scary that opera singing was. It wasn't like the nice Pingju opera we have. Pingu opera is sung gently, especially the Shaoshang and Huadan roles in Pingju. They're very gentle. The opera they were singing was terribly unpleasant. And at first, we heard someone singing alone, and we weren't scared yet, because it's possible there were villagers nearby practicing their singing at night. But after a while, a whole band started playing. And not long after, men, women, old, young, there were at least 7 or 8 people. It was like a big opera stage, performing in the depths of the ruins. And the singing was like a strange shout. A normal person, singing opera the way they did, would run out of breath. They must have been out of oxygen. So friends, Rogue Rabbit was terrified. Even his friends were scared. A few of the guys immediately grabbed hands. What is this? What's going on? Because there was a timid one inside then. This one was the most scared. Scared, he hugged the people next to him. As a result, the other kids got scared too. Then, the cartoon rabbit was a bit calmer at this point. He told the kids, "Don't look over there. Don't look over there. My grandma told me, when you encounter something like this, never stop to watch. Keep your heads down, walk forward quickly." But honestly, it's a good thing for the cartoon rabbit. What the cartoon rabbit said was right. The kids followed the cartoon rabbit's advice. No matter how you sing, I won't look at you. We kept our heads down and walked quickly down this dirt road. After walking for a while, they actually got out. Although, while walking on this dirt road, many cells died, they safely reached their destination. Exiting the dirt road, they saw the lively scene in town. Because it wasn't too late. It was around 8 o'clock. The kids, who were like beached whales, flipped over. They immediately ran towards the internet cafe in town. When they arrived at the internet cafe, well, skip the rest. The group of kids were very happy. Finally, they were safe, and they got to play their favorite games. The kids were completely immersed. At that time, who knows how many hours they were immersed for. Anyway, they played until late at night. After waiting until late at night, they originally planned to stay up all night. But by some strange twist of fate, for some reason, around 3 a.m., actually, half of the kids were already lying there asleep, watching movies, half asleep. There were only 1 or 2 left, playing other games. But as they were playing, snap, the entire internet cafe lost power. The power went out very suddenly. Plus, this kind of internet cafe had no backup power. Once the power went out, the entire internet cafe was pitch black. Suddenly, chaos erupted in the internet cafe. "Hey boss, what's going on? Why is there no power?" And then, the 2 internet cafe managers apologized to everyone. "Oh, I am sorry. No power. I don't know what happened. Let's wait a bit. We'll wait." But unexpectedly, waiting again took 20 minutes. Speaking of which, it's almost 4:30. The power was still out. At this point, some people in the internet cafe, who were a bit rowdy, started to cause trouble. "This won't do. We paid for all-night access. Give us a refund." Refund. When this person started making a scene, everyone else joined in. In the end, the internet cafe staff and owner had no choice. Finally, everyone got 8 yuan back. So that night, these kids basically played on the computer for free. But don't forget one thing. It was around 4:40. After taking these 8 yuan, you wouldn't feel right staying in this internet cafe anymore, right? You took their money. The kids left the internet cafe around 4:45. After leaving, there was no one in the entire town, and there were only about 10 people in the internet cafe. Walking to the door, everyone went their separate ways. So only these few guys were left, wandering around town. After wandering for a while, someone said, "I have a feeling about this internet cafe tonight. We shouldn't have come out. I am really scared. What is he thinking? Is something going to happen?" Maybe that person's words shook everyone's morale, or maybe everyone was scared and agreed with him. So they started discussing. "Hey, Xiaoxin, Long, your family doesn't have many people. Why don't you go hide at your place?" Xiaoxin, his father, works away from home, so he only has his mom. Their house is quite large, and more importantly, it's on the edge of town, so his classmates suggested going to his house. Xiaoxin's mom is very kind, so Xiaoxin agreed. The kids saw this, and finally had a direction. Around 5 o'clock, They groped their way to Xiaoxin's house. But here's the problem. On the way to Xiaoxin's house, they had to pass through a dark alley and then another dark country road. When these kids got out of the alley, it was okay. But as soon as they reached the country road, the kids got scared. Oh no, we didn't bring a flashlight. What the heck? How do we go on? We can't see anything. Why don't we just wait by the roadside until it gets light? This was the suggestion of the most timid child, but waiting by the roadside wasn't safe either. The other kids disagreed. They finally decided to walk down the path, however daunting. But according to the story, if we had listened to this kid, it would have been better. We shouldn't have gone down this path. After walking for about 5 or 6 minutes, we saw a tree ahead. Under the tree stood 2 people, one tall and one short. These 2 people, one looked like a woman. The shorter one couldn't be identified. It seemed to be a child. 00000000000000000. They stood far away under the tree. 1000000. The 2 people were slowly circling the tree. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that these 2 people, their proportions looked normal. But each of them had a very small head on top. And even scarier, on that tree, at some unknown position, glowing, a bright reddish yellow. A bit yellowish, kind of orangey yellow. This light definitely isn't from a light bulb. It seems to be coming from inside the book. It illuminated these 2 people, not very clearly, but enough to see about 80 or 90%. Suddenly, these kids didn't dare to go forward anymore. They immediately ran to the side of the road into some bushes. Hey, come down. Come down. Look. What the heck is that? The kids quickly hid, but they still mustered the courage to head towards the trees. But this time, looking again, they were standing still, so they could see clearly. Looking at it, oh my God, look, it wasn't little heads sticking up. It was 2 weasels with human bodies. The weasels' heads were like dogs' heads, but on a human body, they looked small. The proportions were abnormal, especially that child. That child looked like he was 6 or 7 years old, about 5 or 6 years old, but that little head was only about the size of a teacup. The mother's was slightly better. It was like the head of a 40-pound dog. Instantly, these children hid in the roadside ditch and didn't dare to move. I told you not to go forward. Just now, I felt something was wrong. What do we do? But at this time, the leadership of Scoundrel Rabbit became evident again. Scoundrel Rabbit immediately started looking around. What can we do? Should we go back? What are you making a fuss about? That's Scoundrel Rabbit's command. The remaining children instinctively, needless to say, follow him. They slowly started down the slope and back. As a result, a few of them got covered in Tribulus terrestris. You know, the thorny plant, all around them. But they had no choice. They had to quickly get off this small path. After finally clearing that country path, they reached the cross street ahead. Only then did they dare to come up from the ditch. But this time, they didn't dare to go forward anymore. The few of them stood by the roadside, and stood there until it was completely light, until in the distance they saw a big tractor coming with a rumble. Then they felt relieved. But this morning, when morning came and it got light, their luck improved because the tractor drove up beside them and they realized it was also turning onto that country road. Seeing this, they immediately followed behind the tractor and kept following it. With the tractor leading the way, they followed behind at a slow run. When they ran to the spot where they remembered seeing that tree and the place with the two weasels, they discovered something. It's fucking daylight. The tree I saw last night vanished. Strange tales, Green Lantern journey, returning rain, we chat non-stop. Recording local supernatural events, telling strange world tales. Good evening. A lot of friends are chatting. We were talking about some horror movies we'd seen before. Horror films. Then as we were talking, one of the friends, he was in the village, said we had watched a film a few days ago. It came out in 2022. Supposedly made in Taiwan. The film's called Incantation. I didn't think much of it after watching. I just thought they were talking about it in a fun way. So I searched for them one by one.